Well, I did it. I bought this 1972 Plymouth Satellite. It's kind of a mixed bag. Definitely a cool B-body. There's some cool things about this car and some not so cool things about this car. But it should make for an interesting video series. So what I was thinking about doing for videos on this car is kind of start off with, tell you the background on the car, where I got it from, what I paid for the car. Try to get this thing running and driving, explore the idea of what I should do to this car to get it back on the road. We'll break down the car, we'll go through and break down the fender tag, the VIN, show you all of that, look in the back seat to see if our build sheet is there or not, see what kind of improvements we can do to make it look better, because it kind of looks like hell in primer. I can't stand primer. Examine the car, figure out what the car needs, what are we going to go after first to try to get this thing running and driving, walk you through all the expenses. And if you decide you want to buy and build your own project car, you can build your car or approach your car similarly, or you can decide to go a totally different direction. So when I bought this car, I kind of had limited access to it. I was able to go around the car and give it a look over, but I didn't have a chance to examine it closely, and I wasn't allowed to bring any friends with me to examine the car. So rule number one, whenever you're looking at a potential project car, be sure you always bring somebody with you. I couldn't, in my case, it is what it is, but if you can, bring somebody with you, because they're gonna see things that you can't see. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you around the car and I'm gonna show you what I saw when I looked at the car and what I saw once I got it home. So one of the things I was hopeful with the car was that this car actually has good paint underneath the primer, and I might be able to, take some thinner to the primer or some, a light sand to the car to get the primer off of it, and hopefully have some good original paint underneath the car. But this is what we got. So as you can see, obviously there's no paint here. This is kind of, the paint's basically been burned off here, and you've just got the undercoat and some top rust. And you can see it kind of coming through all over the place, especially here up on the roof. I think my eyes saw it when I first looked at the car, but my mind erased it, because I had these fantasies that I would basically sand all this primer off and have this beautiful paint that I can polish underneath it. On the flip side, not all is lost. So let me show you what I'm seeing and what I'm thinking. All right, so even though we've got some paint missing in a lot of these areas, so we know if we sand through this, we're gonna see surface rust and stuff, but there's also some original paint in here. You can kind of see right in there, here. So I'm actually kind of hopeful that what we might actually have with this car is a similar patina to that with this Charger. See all those spots where the rust is showing through the primer, and you can tell there's no paint there. It's basically kind of like this. And I'm okay with it, because I like this level of patina, So I'm hoping that maybe we get all this primer off this car, we might end up with something like that. So that'll be a later video where we try to see what we got paint-wise. Let's go through the car. I do remember it being kind of cringy in here, but every time I get into it, it's a little more cringe. The A-pillar covers, this one's pretty rotted. This one's gone. Dash is completely trashed. Cluster plastic is broken out here where the radio is. Somebody got crazy with the dash frame and really cut it up, so that's pretty bad. On this side, gosh, I don't even know. Like, they've got the controls basically on the wrong side here. I'm not even sure if this is for this car, And then I'm guessing this is the starter button. I don't know. Non-AC car, so we got no AC vents, that's fine. If you notice the pedals, we basically got ourselves a 3 on the tree. I've never had a 3 on the tree, so we're gonna figure out how cool or uncool that is. These seats are actually Mustang seats. The guy I bought the car from wants them back, so I'm going to be giving those back to him. There's a bench seat in the trunk of the car. I don't think it's original to this car, but I think it is correct. Back seat looks like it's been in there a while. This is a pretty base model stripped car, so I'm not sure if those seats look recovered to me, because I don't see any design in here, but I don't know, by 72, maybe the strip model just, that's how they came, plain Jane, you know. Here in the steering column, this is all beat up pretty bad. I have no idea why. I mean, somebody just came in here and just thrashed on it at some point, I guess. Kind of the downside. Carpet's trashed, not a big deal. Let's pull the keys and look. Oh, here's some more beautiful paint. By the way, this is Winchester gray. It's kind of a very light blue silver color. So I'm actually really hopeful that there's a lot of this paint that will come through if we get this primer off the car. This side's pretty solid. Quarter panels don't look too bad. A little bit there, a little bubbling. And looking under the car, looks like this car has gone through a repaint. Got some spots underneath there. I don't know, we got some leaks. It's got an 8 1/4 rear end. Looks pretty goopy. That's not good. See, just sitting on the trailer after a day, we got some leaks, so we're gonna have to address that. We gotta check it. It's probably low if it's been dripping that just sitting here. You know, over the last 10 years, who knows how much has dripped out of it. And we're gonna have to pull the cover and replace that seal, that gasket. And this is kind of cool. It's got a ratio tag on it. Can't really see what it says, but looks like, oh, 321s. Okay. Got a lot of surface rust under the car, but nothing's rusted through. Frame rails are solid, so that looks good. Some floor pans. So last registration was 2013. That was the last time this car was on the road. Which really isn't that long ago, but I don't know, 10 years ago or so. It's been sitting. This door open either. So let's look inside the trunk. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the seat's apart. Hopefully it'll fit this car. It got a spare tire, trunk floor's in there. It's probably pretty crusty underneath that floor mat. See a little more of that Winchester gray. We don't have any rust issues up here, so that's good. No rust issues there. Oh, this isn't good. We got some rust right here. It's got body filler over it. Ugh, some crustiness. Yeah, this thing is packed full of Bondo right there. That's not good either. And what's going on with this quarter panel? I see some rivets here. That's not normal. Quarter panel been replaced? Oh wow, it has. Look at that. This is all stuff I did not see while looking at the car. Yeah, this quarter panel has been replaced. You got some oil leaking. This is water. It's just rained recently, so
That's probably from the rain, but the spot over there is oil dripping from this car. So, let's see. We've got a lot of rust preventative here on the front area of the car coming from the Slant 6. Still, it's not terrible, but not perfect either.
Okay, more bad. I wish it was a V8. I'd even be okay if it was a 318, because a 318 could push a B-body around, nice cruiser. I've had a Slant 6 once before. They don't make any power. They're horrible for power. I want to take what we have here and try to get everything running. So this is part of the approach. If this engine's no good, then I'm not really interested in taking on another major project, but this would probably be a good candidate for an engine swap, small block or big block. But if we can get this engine running, I think what we're gonna try to do is try to squeeze as much miles per gallon out of it that we can. Basically, have this car work towards its strengths rather than its weaknesses. So its weakness is it doesn't make power. Its strength is it should be good on gas. So let's see if we can make this thing go the distance and do it sipping some fuel. Some pluses, looks like a new radiator. That could be good. That could be bad. It's got a manual steering box. It's good for weight, but that's bad for muscling, especially when we're gonna have to shift the car from the steering column. I mean, look at the engine compartment. Looks pretty nice in here other than the overspray of primer. So we might actually be able to get in here and clean up a lot of this paint and make it look new. At least I'm gonna try. Manual brakes. See, it's a perfect race car candidate. Manual brakes, manual steering. No, door won't open at all. So here's some oddities about the car. Number one, it's a Slant 6 3 on the tree. B-body's a little on the heavy side for a Slant 6, but a 3 on the tree, I'm surprised on a car this late, you know. 3 on the trees were pretty common in the 50s, but by the 60s that started to get phased out. Automatics started getting better and became more of the norm. And of course, 4 speeds became more normal. Yeah, 70s car with a 3 in the tree. I mean, I guess it happens. That truck over there is a 75 and it's actually a 3 on the tree as well. So that's kind of an oddity. The color is odd. I mean, this is actually a rare color. The other thing is it's got this Canadian transport deal. So yeah, car came from Canada. Look at that. Made in Canada. So this car actually came from Canada to the US at some point. Probably pretty early on its life, because if it was in later years, I'm sure this thing would have been rusted away. You know, this is actually a pretty early 72 model. It was built October 1971. So you're probably wondering what I paid for the car, and I'm gonna tell you. Before I do me a favor and click the like button. Okay, so what do you think? How much would you pay for this car? I paid $3,500 for this car. It's I don't know, I wouldn't call it a smoking deal, but I don't think it's that bad of a price. And it kind of depends if we can get this car running easily. I think if this car doesn't have any major problems with it, I think paying $3,500 for it is a good price. But if it has some major issues like the engine doesn't run, then I think I probably paid a little bit on the high side for the car. But I don't know, what do you guys think?